It's nefarious, man. Like, the brain works in fucked up ways.
The mind is one of the most deceiving, manipulative pieces of equipment, flesh, human bodies on earth. I never have trusted my brain.
All of that weight lives in your head, and you are the decision maker.
Psychology of Entrepreneurship.
Hi, it's Ronsley. If this is your first volume, welcome. This is a weekly series where I go inside the mind of an entrepreneur, artist, athlete, academic, to decipher what is the psychology of our decisions. End of the month. That is crazy. If you've heard this documentary before, you know about the first time I got to Toronto in Canada. It was the first week of March, and on day one, I opened the weather app. The app says minus 15 degrees centigrade, Celsius, not Fahrenheit. Because of a bunch of reasons, including the one that I didn't know that the planet gets this cold, I walked out with jeans, a t-shirt, and a long sleeve hoodie. Everything was awesome for exactly 5.5 minutes until the cold started to hit the inside of my bones. For those of you in Australia, I know you have no idea what I'm talking about. Anyway, later that day, braving the weather again because I didn't learn my lesson, and also because I didn't want to take an Uber ride for an 8-minute walk, in that cold, I went to meet this legend.
My name is UJ, and I am the co-creator of something called the 5-Minute Journal, which is, as of date, sold significantly over 500,000 copies since we started it, and has had people like Tim Ferriss and Emma Watson and Pat Flynn, a bunch of other people quite influential and well-known in their own right, who consistently kind of do it and are huge fans of the brand and the product and stuff like that. I also co-founder of a company called Intelligent Change, where we create books and notebooks and tools to help people become better.
Today, we go inside the mind of someone that just strives to be a better version of himself every single day. And there are a few reasons why UJ Ramdas was so perfect to interview for the Psychology of Entrepreneurship. It's because he's a fighter, a creator, and most importantly, a commercializer of art. He also has a history.
Yeah, so I have a history of disrespecting, I would say, misplaced authority, because I know the difference between well-placed authority and misplaced authority. A well-placed authority is someone who answers my questions and I'm impressed, right? A displaced authority, like a misplaced authority, is someone just fucking there because they're getting paid for it and they don't actually know what they're doing. No, I'm just asking questions because I try to figure out what is happening. Like, let's see where we're at. What is the foundation? Is the foundation strong? Is it weak? Can we strengthen the foundation? Is there value there? I'm trying to find out where the value is, right? Where's the value? Like, because building on the foundation makes no sense if the foundation is not strong. But strengthening the foundation can be very valuable if it's not strong. It's something we can agree on. So I just have a sincere seeking for truth in everything. So I like to separate the bullshit. I'll do this a lot sometimes in my conversations because it's almost like I'm trying to pull away the bullshit so we can get to some fundamental stuff.
In volume 12, Jordan Exani mentioned this.
I'm sitting next to UJ, who just before, and this was before Megan and I were together, but just before MMT, I was trying to set him up with Megan because I knew that they were totally incompatible because UJ's so I drink like 2.36 cups of coffee a day.
That UJ he was talking about is this UJ. Also, while Jordan was trying to set up Megan with UJ, a couple of weeks ago, Jordan asked Megan to marry him. Sorry, tangent story. But if there was anyone I wanted to ask about morning routines, it would definitely be someone that knows he drank 2.36 cups of coffee today.
So wake up, do the 5-minute journal, take a cold shower, which is essentially a product. It's like a toothbrush for your mind. You do it every day. In the morning before you go to bed. It is a gratitude journal on steroids. So that's what it is. It's super simple. It takes you 5 minutes. If it takes longer, then, you're not doing it right. Exactly. And then I'll just kind of review my plan for the day.
So UJ loves efficiency and truth, hates authority and bullshit. Did you have a choice about being an entrepreneur, or did you always know, UJ?
I always knew I wanted to do something of my own. Yeah. Like the alternative just didn't work. My parents had a shitty time with me, and my teachers had a shitty time with me, and every authority has had a shitty time with me. Then I realized I was going to be my own authority, and I trust myself with authority more than I trust most people. So I was like, I'm going to make my own shit happen because I think I can. Like this doesn't seem very hard, because people who are doing this are way less qualified than me, understand shit way less, and they're doing it already. So I can likely do it better, and I'm way younger. So I can figure this out. And the math also doesn't work. I'm like, wait. So if you graduate best class, honors, all this other shit, you go to get a job, you may likely get from late 5 figures to early 6 figures starting. Whereas if you learn how to deliver value, there's no cap on how much you earn. Okay. And that means if you had to bust your ass for 5 to 10 years, yeah, I'm comfortable doing that. That's a bet I'll take any day of the week. And especially if you have a competitive advantage, I feel like I have a few. Okay. Or if I don't, I'll just find someone who does. Right? In life, you can cheat all the time. Right? In academics, you can't. But in life, you just call it collaboration. In life, you create partnerships, you can make more money. This is awesome. So I always knew I was going to do something of my own. The question was exactly how and when and all this other stuff. But those are details you can figure out.
Studies have shown that people perform better when they've written down their life goals and what they need to do in their day-to-day life.
So here's the story. UJ is not actually his real name. Well, who has 2 letters as a name anyway? And also, what is a real name? It's all made up.
Well, first of all, I came here, I was speaking like this. It was adaptation or survival, so I had to figure out. So within 2 or 3 weeks, I was speaking like this. Within 3 days, I changed my name to UJ. Ujjwal was the name my grandfather gave me when I was born, which means brilliance, luminosity, and all these beautiful things. But it's great in India. You come here and you get Ujjwal, and you're like, oh man, this is not going to work. And I got to figure out some stuff that's still true to me and who I am, but makes it much, much easier and simpler to remember. Now, my legal name is still Ujjwal, and my last name is actually different from Ramdas. Ramdas is my middle name, so I changed my middle name to my last name. Way easier, way simpler, way crisper. So I was like, okay, I just got to do some triage here, linguistic, so I did. And then I kind of just observed, the first month was just getting a sense of the lay of the land, understanding what I'm, like the environment I'm in. I spoke very less. I was just kind of listening a lot of the time, just adapting, recognizing that people in Canada weren't hungry at all. And there's a significant lack of ambition that I found frustrating and weirdly baffling. Because I was like, I've seen hunger and I've known hunger, and I've both, psychologically and physiologically, and this was the opposite, right? So I saw university kids blowing up their loans, student loans, on alcohol. And I didn't even drink till I was about 19 or so, because my parents were Hindu and they brought off vegetarian, so I didn't really have meat till quite a while. Those decisions were interesting to me.
I hear this statement a lot in the world. Hey, let's grab something to eat. I'm starving. Please, if you're listening, I guarantee that you aren't starving. And it's really disrespectful to the ones who are really starving that we throw these words out into the world like they don't really mean anything. Your voice is important. That sounds like advice for you, Ronsley. Anyway, UJ, do you meditate? How do you tackle your day after that insane morning routine?
So I've meditated for a long time. It's been a huge part of my life. That helps a lot. And then I just kind of like look at my day plan and see what the situation is, like what needs to happen. How just kind of work out the flow of my day. I know enough about myself where I know to not chunk too many things too close together. So typically I'll have like 2 or 3 chunks within the day that helps me get to where I want to go ish. What would make today great? Yeah. So that's part of the question is like, and so in a certain sense, the best way to do that question is you transport yourself to the end of the day. And at least that's how I do it. I just feel great. Just imagine I feel great at the end of the day. Like just feel fantastic. Okay. Well, what needs to happen for that result to happen? That's the way that's one of my favorite questions. What needs to happen for that to happen? And then I just list out the things that are in my head. I'm like, okay, that needs to happen for that to happen. It doesn't happen all the time, but when I look at the journal after the day's done, I'll check the things that happened and I cross the ones that didn't. And I'm telling you, like the days I'm feeling that feeling is the days when those things have been checked. And I've been doing this for almost like 10 plus years now because I was doing the Founder Journal before we created it. So there's a very strong feedback loop of like, I know how I do this. So, I think today I did all 3, which I'm super excited about. Yeah. So when you take those 3 out, you're like, it's a good feeling, you know, you set yourself up, you know, you navigated how you would do that and you did it.
So I wonder, how many times do we actually ask ourselves the question, what needs to happen for that to happen? Because as an entrepreneur, creative, artist, athlete, performer, mother even, we are all looking to make things happen. For context, UJ, how would you define an entrepreneur?
Yeah, someone who consistently produces value. And I use the word produce very specifically. Produce is essentially what production is. Taking a bunch of shit, putting it together in a package, delivering it in a way that delivers value. It's such that the sum of the parts is less expensive than the whole.
Because here's the deal. I believe that moms are the original entrepreneurs because if they fail at their job, in most instances, someone dies. Also, think about how they take a bunch of shit and put it together in this package called a child and sends them out into the world to deliver value. But everyone goes about doing the entrepreneurship thing in different ways, with different styles.
My general style is, everybody's got different styles. My general style tends to be, I tend to be a sniper with my decision making. Some people are like machine guns. I have a good friend who's machine gun, right? Like and great. They should do that because that's what they're good at. They've developed the whole personality around that style. Great. Do that because you're good at that and you've learned how to hone that natural style. I'm just more of a sniper. So for example, a good friend of mine, just like, he'll just take something, just throw so much energy and effort and time into it that he'll figure it out over time. Whereas I tend to be more of a sniper. I tend to look, gather information, understand I have a really good shot, understand I have a headshot, pull the trigger.
When we come back, how suffering is kind of, well, optional.
Psychology of Entrepreneurship.
The main objective of this audio project is to bring together entrepreneurs and creatives who share similar values in a place where conversation can be had without judgment. A place where our listeners can give us constructive feedback to improve this show with topic and guest recommendations. For access to full-length interviews and access to that place, go to mustamplify.com/POE and click the button.
Before the break, we covered why UJ is such an interesting mind to dive inside. But for you listening, I wanted you to consider how much of his advice to take on based on how he defines success for him.
I think success is getting what you want. It's that easy and that is that complex. It's getting what you want. Now, to me, success is also about recognizing the difference between what a lot of the times you think you want and what you really want. And there's a line there. There's a very definite line there. And the difference between those two are extremely important. So what typically, we might think we want is the external stuff, the car, the woman, the house, the stuff that typically we've been programmed, the beach body, the six-pack abs, blah, blah, blah. Keep going, right? And so it comes at us all the time, right? So it's nice. It's easy to fall prey to that in terms of, people ask you what you want. Your mind gives you an answer. You believe the first fucking one. And then you go fucking spend the rest 6 months to a year of your life trying to achieve something that you might not even actually want. So we've all had the experience of getting something external, right? Having it and feeling a little shitty. Like, fuck. I'm like, oh, I don't want that. It's almost like a mini depression, right? You're like, wow, okay. Like I spent all this time, energy, effort getting this, buying it, owning it. And now I feel worse. This makes no sense. It does make sense because it's not what you actually fucking wanted in the first place. Versus like what you really want is a very small, tight circle. And so identifying that from the get-go is going to be hugely fucking valuable. Right. So you don't end up doing the things you don't actually want to do. That's why, prior to this in a conversation over dinner, I was curious to ask you, like, what is driving a lot of your decisions without kind of getting too much into the specifics?
Do you know what you really want? Do you want to collect experiences or collect achievements or collect resources? If I stop to think for a second, any achievement felt like one if there was contrast to that achievement. Contrast allows us to feel, to experience, to live. There's a saying about feeling the gift of life when things feel really horrible and the world is about to end. And that the very fact you can feel in that moment is what living is all about, or something to that effect. This next story is about when UJ arrived in Canada for the first time. I was bitching and moaning about the cold until I heard this.
I walked outside and it was like, now all you have to do really, fundamentally, nobody's really spending more than an hour outside. Ever, on any day. And during that period, people would complain about the cold. Are you fucking kidding me? Go live in India or, Southeast Asia for a while. You have way more shit to complain about. So perspective shifts. The second thing I realized was I came to Canada for opportunity. And if the only thing I had to brave was the cold, then I just figured I wouldn't feel cold. I would just feel opportunity. And I feel great. I feel good. The cold is awesome. I genuinely enjoy the cold. Like you've seen, I'm kind of laughing, joking about the cold a lot of the time because I was like, great, it's just opportunity. Like, to me, I just looked at it as a competitive advantage. So if I could, change the sensation of cold to feel opportunity and everybody else was just kind of bitching and complaining, I would just get ahead. I'm like, perfect. That's what I'm here for anyway. Because I had a 17-year, like almost like not that they had a head start, but I came here after 17 years. A lot of people who were native here had a 17-year head start in terms of their network, in terms of their family, in terms of this and that and wealth and everything else. I'm like, fuck, I got to catch up here.
I suppose contrast brings perspective. Then, while I drifted off into my thought bubble about perspective and contrast, UJ started to tell me that in this cold of Canada, this motherfucker was having cold showers every morning.
Well, because it's efficient. First of all. Second, when I have a hot shower, it dulls me. and a cold shower sharpens me up. Right. So about 5 years ago, I nearly died in a motorcycle crash in Bali. Yeah. So basically, long story short, the reason I brought up the accident was, I don't wish the accident upon anybody, but a huge lesson I learned, difficult lesson I learned was pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And in pain, if you're alive, you're going to have pain. As soon as you're born, you pop out of a vagina and the doctor's like, you're on a doctor's, slapping your ass, trying to help you breathe. You're crying, right? Pain is inevitable. If you're alive, you're going to experience pain, period. End of conversation. Suffering is optional. So if you're, let's say, in a hospital and you're feeling all this craziness, I had shattered pelvis in 3 places. My right lung collapsed because my 4 ribs broke and they entered the lungs. There was blood inside the lungs and I didn't know if I would have a right lung for about 10 days. And so, this story is going to your head. Am I ever going to have, to be able to breathe the way I was breathing again? Am I ever going to be able to walk again? Am I going to live, survive, all this stuff? Man, how amazing would the business be if I didn't have this fucking accident? All this shit. That's stories. Those are all stories. That's suffering. All right. But if you just listen to the pain is just your body going, ow. If you continue listening to that pain, the pain will actually subside. If you can get rid of the suffering, the pain is actually like you can hang out with it and be okay with it. It actually improves your life. The same way a cold shower, if you were to take next time, tomorrow, you have a choice. Everybody has a choice, right? They just choose not to take it. You turn on the shower and people actually stay outside the shower, wait for the perfect fucking temperature, right? They're like, oh, no, a little bit hotter. Oh, a little cooler, right? And then you jump in. Instead of doing that, if you were to jump in and turn it all the way cold, right? And, you're going to be alive. You'll be fine. It'll be cold. We've done this for thousands of years and been fine with it. It's only in the last couple of 100 years we've even had hot water at our disposal all the time. So typically that's why human beings have showered for our entire existence, say over the last 100 years or so. So you can separate the cold, the sensation from the story. You can do that. We all have that ability. So it becomes just like this nice dance of intensity. So the cold just becomes a way for you to look at things like you don't necessarily like. And then you walk out of the shower and I promise you feel so much better. You feel like fucking Superman when you walk out for a 5-minute situation. That's great. That is a result you want. That's a result I want. So, again, it's 5 minutes. So it's just not comfortable.
The psychology of pain is the meaning we give to a pain signal. Essentially, it's the internal self-talk and beliefs about our pain, which then drive our emotional reactions.
I suppose to achieve contrast, there might have to be the possibility of some discomfort because we get perspective in the discomfort, right? I only truly understand a different perspective if I'm initially taken aback by my perspective being challenged in the first place. But then ignorance is bliss, and more ignorance, more bliss.
We're the shit. Well, you are if you choose to look where it hurts. Yes, legitimately you are awesome because if you're okay doing that, then the feedback loops will make you increasingly more awesome over time. But if you're not, then you're just totally bullshitting yourself. And if you're totally bullshitting yourself, then you're living in this illusion here while reality is somewhere else. And that's a recipe for getting fucked in the long term. So one of the quotes in the Farmer Journal, which is hilarious, we had to change to be a bit more, PG-13, but it was like, ignorance is bliss until you get fucked. So since that's the way my brain already works. So if someone's not interested in the difficult conversation, again, this is not a fit. But if someone is, and they're open to navigating it and discussing it and giving and receiving feedback at a high level, also interested in and flexing out how we can improve. We're going to improve at a fast rate.
At this point, I would like to remind you about Dr. Sherry Walling from Volume 2 before returning you to what UJ is going to say next. Because apart from the fact that Sherry is super smart, she's super kind too.
I mean, they sound sort of lofty, and I feel like I could roll my eyes at my own self. But when we think about it at the end of our lives, we're going to take stock of like, how did we spend our time? And the questions that we're going to ask is, what did I do that was important? How did I make my life better? How did I make other people's lives better? How did I experience joy? How many beautiful sunsets did I see? How many hard problems did I solve that made me satisfied and made me proud of myself? I think maybe the question that we don't ask is like, how's this going to play on the deathbed? That's the question to ask. What are we going to regret? What are we going to be sad that we missed when our time is up?
I actually asked the question that we asked earlier today. What we're talking about is like, so what do you really want? And really get that, really understand that. It's not a simple question to answer at all. But it's a deeply meaningful and important question to answer. Because if you answer that question, the rest becomes easy. It's a hard fucking question. And if you don't answer that question, you go about doing your other stuff, picking up your kids and all this other stuff. I'm just using kids as an example because it's easy to use your family as a scapegoat for not answering the questions that are really fucking important and blaming external environments. But if you don't have that question answered, I'm very honestly, like, chances are you're wasting a lot of life. Because if you don't understand what your true north is in a way that you know in your body, if you don't know what that is, that's fine. You're leaving money on the table. You're leaving value on the table. You're leaving value for your own self. And I use value in the most abstract sense, not necessarily money, right? So there's a really kind of viral article that went nuts a few years ago, like the 5 regrets of the dying, right? So think about that. So a lot of people who answered those questions, those 5 regrets, had those 5 regrets, didn't know what they really wanted. Didn't know. Didn't figure it out till much, much, much later. And now they're regretting a lot of their life. And regret is the worst possible emotion you can experience.
Regret is the worst possible emotion you can experience. And I know people who live their whole lives in regret. It is one of those easy patterns to slip into because regret makes us victims. And victims get attention. Attention these days comes in many ways, especially on Facebook. It's short-term pleasure versus long-term gain. I suppose that's why contrast might be so important. What do I mean by that? If I never experienced victory in the right sense, I could mistake victory for the picture on Facebook where everyone gives me my dopamine hit by the likes I get. Dude, that's deep. But back to regret.
Like pain is fine, anger is fine. Like the rest regret makes fear look like a joke. It does. It sucks. We've all felt it, right? We felt it. Oh, fuck. I wish I didn't do that. I wish I could get back the time and the energy and the effort because I made a shitty decision that I have no one but me to blame. And now I have to live with that for the rest of my life. It sucks. And so I try to minimize regret as much as fucking possible. And I'm telling you, if you don't know the answer to that question, if you haven't figured it out, if you haven't spent time and energy and effort asking yourself, journaling, asking friends, hiring coaches, I don't fucking care. Figure it out. If you listen to this, you've done some shit in your life. So focus all your attention and energy on this, getting this dialed in, understand in your body, this is what you want. Like there's a magnetic experience of like knowing what you want and going for it. And if that is not yet the case, great. Now we know this. Now we have awareness. It's not something to be afraid of. It's not something to bury down because you don't want to face what it is you want. Guess what? Hopefully you're eventually going to face what you want and get what you want. That's what everybody really wants. That's what success is. Success isn't money. Success isn't profit. Success is getting what you want. Some of it could be money. Some of it could be profit. Some of it could be love. Some of it could be kids. It could be whatever the hell you want. But unless you have a very strong relationship with what it is you fundamentally want. The rest is broken.
Psychology of Entrepreneurship.
Coming up on the Psychology of Entrepreneurship,
I want to provide a high quality fitness service for people that don't identify as fitness people. So to that end, we don't call our members clients, we call them ninjas. And we don't use the term gym because that's not their bag. So we call our homes the enchanted ninja clubhouses of glory and dreams. And the mascot is the unicorn, and the space is very colorful, and it is a very unusual place. To be a servant to people is also reflected in the fact that, I've definitely struggled with being a people pleaser. I struggle to this day. If someone is upset with me about something or thinks like if somebody has a bad experience, at MFF, which, again, we served a lot of people, and we're not perfect. Sometimes we messed up a thing, or the credit card went through, or it's just not the right fit. It took me years for that not to ruin me for a week.
Psychology of Entrepreneurship.
I interviewed UJ because he is the co-creator of the 5-Minute Journal. This is a journal that I've used and I've gifted even before I met UJ. He is also the co-founder of Intelligent Change. His work has been featured in the New York Times, Lifehacker, The Tim Ferriss Show, and Entrepreneur Magazine. He is one of the deepest thinkers I've ever met. He is a life hacker, a seeker of happy moments, and a friend.
Psychology of Entrepreneurship.
This is a Must Amplify production. Special thanks to every guest expert that has appeared on the show. Editing and sound design by Kaylee Bonnyman and Tiago Vega. Voiceovers by Kaylee Bonnyman. Guest research and content by Claire Gould and Corinne Castles. Project managed by Shannon Morrison. Produced and hosted by me, Ronsley Vaz. For more episodes and where to listen, go to mustamplify.com/POE.
Hey, it's Kaylee from Must Amplify. I'm the sound engineer for this volume of Psychology of Entrepreneurship. I'm a part of the team that made this production come alive. Our team consists of members from all around the globe, with our headquarters based in West End, Brisbane, Australia, the land of the drop bear. For more about the cool stuff that we're up to and to work out of our studios, head to mustamplify.com. Are you still listening? Here's a little gift to you for sticking around.
You can tell a lot about a person there, because usually you can tell a lot about how much of certain. Because usually you can tell a lot about how much of certain advice we can. God damn, Ronsley. I love that I can say motherfucker on my show. Oh God, little things.